Good morning. Clear my throat here. My name is Lakatos. I'm the CEO of Active Protective, and what I want to talk to you about today is safety and the evolution of safety. So this is a picture. It's not of my childhood, but it's probably any one of us can relate to this. When growing up in the 70s, it would usually be by 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, where my mother would say, "Get out of the house and don't come back till dinner." And we would find 2x4s and plywood and do this stuff, and we would hurt ourselves all the time. I don't know how many concussions I've had from my childhood like this, but if you saw your neighbors do this today, at some point you would go out and talk to the kids and tell them to put a helmet on, right? And if you saw it multiple days in a row, you'd go talk to the parents and say, "You gotta protect your kids." It's completely changed in half a generation. This next slide is what skiing used to look like in the 80s, right? Hair flowing, day glow, all that stuff. On the right-hand side is what a winter sport athlete looks like today. Helmet, geared up, and honestly, if you go skiing today without a helmet on, you look like you don't know what you're doing. And that happened in just 2 or 3 decades, really completely changed. Automotive safety, right? This is a horrible idea. Like, everything about this is absolutely horrible, and you'd be pulled over by the police if you stop your kids, if you use your kids as a bumper, right? So just focusing on automotive safety for a second, it's amazing that the evolution there. So for the first 100 years that we had cars in this country, they got faster, cooler, flashier. But the more that occurred, people were killing themselves. This is the increase in highway in deaths per 100,000 miles driven, right? And it was until, we spent all sorts of attention on prevention programs, defensive driving, things like that. But the highway fatality rate kept increasing until we shifted to safety measures, right? Really protecting occupants. So what came in was seat belts, first lap belts, then shoulder belts, then crumple zones, then eventually airbags. And since we made that shift in the 70s, you've seen this dramatic decrease in U.S. deaths. Here's a picture that I'm sure everyone here is familiar with, right? 2 people walking along, and if that gentleman falls, his partner is going to be able to do nothing about it. He will hurt himself and will likely drag her down with him. And I wonder if one day we'll look at that picture and say, geez, we've done something about this, we've addressed this. So, hip fractures, I'm sure these are stats that everyone in this room is familiar with. There's 45 million Americans over the age of 65. 1 in 3 fall each year. 20% of those falls end up in the ER. 10% of those ER falls are hip fractures, right? One happens every 2 minutes. Everyone here is, I'm sure, also familiar with the costs and consequences of a hip fracture. The loss of mobility, the loss of independence, the loss of living conditions, and 25% will die within a year, which, if you look at those stats, hip fractures kill twice as many people a year as car accidents. It's absolutely staggering. So the other part of hip fractures, of course, is fear of hip fractures and fear of falling. If you're scared to get up, become upright and mobile, and take a walk, you lose your muscles atrophy. Your muscles atrophy, you lose balance a little bit more. You lose balance more, you start falling a little more. And it's this terrible, we call it a death spiral. It really, if you can't maintain your day upright and mobile, not only the cost of that, but the healthcare benefits on the side that you don't get realized. So that's what we have done as a company, is we've developed a belt for older adults that's very easy to use, that protects their hips in the event of a fall. It restores confidence and mobility and really quality of life to users, but to the senior care providers, there's tremendous tremendous benefits, including improved outcomes and occupancy levels and sure enough risk and liability for those things. So just briefly, I'm going to move fast because we don't have a lot of time, but how it works, it's some very smart industrial design to make this a product that people will embrace, similar to helmets for skiing. At one point they were considered uncomfortable, and people didn't want to wear them until they designed them and made them cool and made them so 4 years of product development to make this a device that people would adopt. The second piece, really where the science is, and my background is engineering, determining a human fall prior to impact there's a lot of science behind it. It's really incredible, and that's where a lot of our work and our research is. And the last piece is we're repurposing that technology from the automotive industry, which is air brakes. We're doing it in a way we're using stored gas, not the pyrotechnic that's in your steering wheel, but a very safe airbag that deploys around the hips. So before the fall, encouraging, there we go. We'll just go to this one, that's fine. So this is a 180-pound crash test dummy, 200 milliseconds from release to impact, and we're getting those airbags around the atlas part of the anatomy in about 50 milliseconds. Here's the next video. You can see super slow motion, of course. This is Zane, he's our field support specialist. He runs the programs in the field. But really comes in, just one last one, it comes down like baseball gloves, you know, around the foot and protects against lateral and posterior lateral falls. It's about 2.5 inches of air cushion and really attenuates impact force by about 90%. It's a smart device. It's constantly monitoring mobility. So the other, I guess, exciting piece, not only the protection side, but really by restoring confidence and getting people moving better and being able to measure these things. Here's one interesting finding. It's postural sway from a person that was, you know, entered into a short-term rehab setting. This is before they had their care plan or the physical therapy began. And then these are days after where we can see the improvements of the patient in postural sway and really use that to determine at what point perhaps a discharge could happen or how improved or what the patient is really responding to. This is another interesting one. On this side is what we call power users of the belt, people that embrace the belt and use it more than 2.7 hours per day. The middle one is people that use it less than 2.7 hours a day, and this one is people that chose, you know, we don't want to use the belt, it's stigmatizing, or we simply don't like it. And you can see the distance over surface improvements for those three categories of folks. This is, you know, potentially the most frail, but they embraced the belt and had over a 5x increase in distance over surface. Light users of the belt saw great increases. Both of these categories saw the best exit distance over surface measurements of even the folks that didn't use it at all. This is, you know, walking trends. It's just interesting measures because it's a smart device. It's a connected device. It alerts in the event of a fall, or in the deployment it calls caregivers, but it also looks at activities for planning. So this is my last slide, and would just like to share this with you. So these were participants of some of our programs. One of them, her goal is to get back to walking her dog because she no longer felt safe to do it. At the end of the 90-day usage of the belt, she said her dog is still her best friend. The belt is her second best friend. The quote on the other side, we had another participant. She really wanted to get back to walking a mile a day. After 90 days, the restoration of confidence, she was walking 2 miles a day with the belt. So it was, you know, very well increased. So with that, I know we're running tight on time. Thank you very much. I'm in booth 89 upstairs. We have a couple belts if you'd like to see them. I promise not to push anybody over.